Hi guys, a big hello to my international viewers. Don't worry, I've been waiting for Dr. E. Michael Jones. I hope he didn't get mad yesterday because I was so exhausted. I had to cancel our live stream and we postponed it till today. I haven't been sleeping for a couple of days now because I had so much to do with the new media we've been starting in Slovenia here with my with a couple of my friends and co-enthusiasts. That's been called NTA, National Press Agency in English, Nacionalna tiskovna agencija, and yeah, I'm still exhausted. I had a Croatian guest, Vladimir Bujica, right now for an hour and a half. So just uh-huh. Dr. Jones is here. Just let me tell him he can come. And there's the link. So guys, before Dr. Jones comes, maybe you can ask me some questions. He'll be coming in a minute or so, hopefully. But I'm quite sure. Had you some sleep last night? No, not a lot. What is the mission of the NTA? Well, the mission, we would like to be a more Slovene nation leaning press agency in a while when we'll get to the niveau we would like to be on. This is it because the STA, which is Slovene press agency, yeah, it showed to be anti-Slovene. That's why we're called national press agency, because we're pro Slovene nation, and right now Slovenia has its own national Slovene government, which is something communists don't like. Huh?
Hello. Hi.
Dr. Jones, hi.
Give me 2 minutes, all right? I'll be right back.
Okay. I hope you saw Dr. E. Michael Jones, so you'll stay for a couple of minutes more because he's coming.
Hello there. I'm the guy behind the camera. I'm Mike. I'm Dr. Jones's media coordinator over here. How are the audios?
Hi, Mike.
How are the visual?
Hi, Mike.
How you doing?
Everything's fine. I can hear you fine.
Cool.
I can see you fine.
Good. Very good.
People have been waiting for Dr. E. Michael Jones.
Cool.
It's everything is in Logos.
Oh, are you guys live right now?
Yeah, I've been talking to the audience.
Gotcha. Cool. All right. Well, then I don't want to butt in too much. So if we're all good, then my job here is done.
Okay. Thank you,
right,
Mike.
Yeah. Excited for the interview. We'll see you guys.
No problem.
Yeah.
See you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carlota, it's already on the internet, and it's you have to pay for reading it, but it's really not a big amount of money. It's 99 cents per month, $5.99 per half a year and 11.99 per year. And yeah, we've been having some author shows, like Ernitzel one-on-one, which is basically my streams. Then we've been having some political streams. Dr. Jones,
Okay, I'm ready.
Long time no see.
Yeah, here I am. I'm ready. Which way?
Straighten up the microphone a little bit. There you are.
Like that?
There you are. Perfect.
Okay.
We haven't seen or heard each other for a while now, and a lot has been happening in America till now, or from the last time we saw each other. How are you satisfied with the current situation in America, and with the new president, Joe Biden, who's supposedly a Catholic?
Yeah. So if you were in Prague in 1968 and the Soviet tanks rolled through the city, and I were to ask you as a Czech Bohemian, how do you feel? How are you satisfied with the situation? You would probably say no, wouldn't you? You probably wouldn't be cheering the tanks on. Well, we are in an advanced stage of warfare where you don't have to send tanks in anymore. Tanks are irrelevant in terms of controlling people. But something very similar has happened here. We have basically, I've been saying for months it was a color revolution. That's what it was. It was a color revolution. And what we need to understand is who was involved here. And I think we're talking about a group of people who lost control of the country. They considered themselves this country's rightful rulers. They felt that they had rights, special privileges that they deserved, and they were annoyed at the average person in the United States who felt that he had some access to those rights. He considered them rights rather than privileges, and felt that he was getting the short end of the stick, and expressed that by voting for Donald Trump. And the oligarchs were not going to put up with it anymore. And so basically they stole the election. And now we're in a situation where they're pretending that nobody noticed that they stole the election. So it's like Tiananmen Square. Don't pay attention to those tanks there. That's really not relevant to anything that's going on. They're trying to pretend that they didn't send the tanks into Tiananmen Square, to use the type of analogy. And they're talking as if everything is normal, but there's an edge to everyone's voice in this discussion. So you have groups of people that are considered mainstream that are talking completely preposterous in ways that are completely preposterous and completely disconnected from reality. And it's becoming obvious to everyone here. Okay. So to give you a recent example, just yesterday, the head of the United Nations announced that white supremacy was the biggest threat to the planet. Why are you laughing? This is serious. Why are you laughing? This is the head of the United Nations. Are you against the United Nations?
Yes.
So basically, this is completely preposterous. The interesting thing was that it was sprung on me while I was on Press TV, the Iranian TV station. And Press TV, the moderator there, is telling me this with a straight face. I was shocked. Here the Iranians, you go to Iran and they surround you and they're all chanting death to America and death to Israel. And here they've accepted the narrative. You guys accepted the narrative that is completely preposterous. It was made up by the Biden administration to cover the fact that they stole the election and demonize everyone who voted for Donald Trump as a white supremacist. This is preposterous. This is the type of thing. And if Press TV falls for it, then I assume other people are falling for it. So there was a lot. It was interesting because the moderator, he knows who I am. We've been talking together for years now. He's dumbfounded. There's a silence. He doesn't know what to say. He says, I'm trying to wrap my head around what you said. He's got like the master of American slang. You know what I mean? But he couldn't understand what I was saying. So I'm saying, well, wait a minute. Let me tell you what I'm saying here, that this white business is a category of the mind it's based on certain physical characteristics, and it gets imposed on people as a form of control. And so what's going on here is they're trying to demonize 75 million people by saying that they are white supremacists. Because if you're white, you have no rights. We've been through this before. We've been through this on your show already. You know my thoughts about this idea of whiteness.
Mm.
You know? I mean, our Croatian buddy showed up on the show.
Tom
Sunic. Yeah. Tom Sunic showed up. You know, we were talking to each other. This is the debate that I was supposed to have in Zagreb. And the COVID thing killed it. So it's become more relevant. I wish we had it then because it's only become more relevant. And so what I would say to the Jared Taylors of the world is, who are you working for? I mean, are you working to impose this category of the mind? Are you working now to convince people to identify as white so the government come in and arrest you? Because that's what it's coming down to. That's what it's coming down to. We are seeing the whole transformation of that demonstration that took place at the Capitol has now been turned into an insurrection. Well, I'm sorry. That's your category of the mind. You're forever imposing your categories of the mind on reality where they don't fit. And this is clearly where that doesn't fit. These people, I know people who went there. I mean, they talked to me about the majority of the people, praying and singing patriotic songs and stuff like that. They thought they were patriots. Now, there are actors. There's always going to be actors in something like this, people who can run to the front of the parade, people who are trying to agitate for violence, people who are trying to discredit the whole thing. It happened in Berlin about a month before. I don't know whether you followed that, but there was an anti-COVID demonstration, and suddenly a group of people end up entering the Bundestag. Well, you can't get into the Bundestag if they don't let you in. You can't get into the Capitol unless they let you in. And that's precisely what happened. They let them in, and they walked into a trap. The people who were, I'm saying the naive people, the people who let them in were probably knew what they were doing. They were part of a plan to entrap these people. Very similar to what happened in Charlottesville, where they were led into a trap. Now, those people identified as white people, and they basically put a target on their back and said, basically, shoot me or kick me. And they played right into the hands of these people. Now, these people in Washington, that was a completely different group of people. I mean, those people like Richard Spencer, yeah, he calls himself white. I think he's delusionary, but he has the right to call yourself that. If you want to say you're white, well, be my guest, But the point is, that's not what these people at the Trump rally were doing. They were not doing that at all. They were there because they had voted for Trump and they felt he'd been cheated out of an election. That was not white supremacy at all, in any way, shape, or form. And the fact that the United Nations is now, the head of the United Nations is now saying something that preposterous is a sign, first of all, that we are dealing with the oligarchic reaction. Of course, this is an oligarchic figure. We're dealing with the oligarchic reaction to a worldwide uprising of people who are tired of the hypocrisy. And they're trying to demonize the people who are unhappy. That's what's going on.
Do you think it's possible that there will be tanks and airplanes and guns and armies targeting people who will be saying that they're white? Do you think that it's possible that UN will start targeting white people, or what's the goal of some
the goal is to create the white person. You have to create this person. This is not a category of nature. Okay, I went through this before. Ethnicity is a category of nature. Race is a category of the mind that gets imposed for reasons of control. So that's what the government is trying to do. They're trying to convict these people of being white. which means because you're white, you're racist. And if you're racist, you're guilty. And if you're guilty, well, we can do whatever we want with you. It's identity theft. So if you're asking me if it's going to come to guns, it's already come to guns if you're talking about the United States of America, because somebody invariably picks up a gun and starts shooting people. It happens every day. It happens. 700 people a year get gunned down in the south side of Chicago alone every year. So if you're talking about that, then it's already happening. If some policeman shows up at some guy's house ready to arrest him for being a white guy, there's a chance that guy would start shooting at the cops. I hope he doesn't. But if he does, he's going to be outgunned. So I don't recommend this at all. But it happens all the time. It happens all the time. So the question is, are we going to play it up or play it down? Well, the people who own the media make that decision. If we need some type of scapegoat today, well, we'll play it. If somebody got shot today, I guarantee you somebody got shot today in America. I know somebody got shot. It happens every day. So the question is, are we going to play it up or are we going to play it down? Now, well, maybe Biden, because Biden's president, everything's supposed to be great now. Or what's it going to be? That's their decision, because we're talking about categories of the mind, and they create those categories of the mind for political purposes.
Thunderstruck here asked EMJ the Ugandan question I posted above. We're white and claiming you're not won't save us. Is it possible that this is true? For example, I know you have your own experience where you made it with explaining how race is a construct of the mind, but yet intuitively, could it be that Thunderstruck is right? For example, I know we spoke previously in previous shows about that occasion where this white dude got attacked by black people, and he told them he was Jewish, he was not white.
Right.
Yeah, and he got away with it.
Right.
So they let them, him be. But I somehow have this intuition that it wouldn't happen the same way if he told, no, I'm not white, I'm Irish, or no, I'm not white, I'm Catholic, for example. Would they leave him alone?
Well, let's go back to the actual situation. Let's go back to St. Louis. Remember we talked about St. Louis?
Yeah.
So the guy who's leading the campaign to get rid of the statue is using this vocabulary. He says they're white supremacists at the statue. Okay. Now, as soon as you say that, you're going to call out the Black Lives Matter crowd, who will feel justified in beating someone up because they're racist, which is exactly what happened. Okay. Some old guy or 60-year-old guy is standing there praying the rosary, and the black guys come and beat him up because he's been designated white. Now, I entered it. I said, no, he's not white. Catholics. He's a Catholic because white supremacists don't pray the rosary. Catholics pray the rosary. As soon as I changed it, then the whole tenor of the discussion changed. So I'm saying the only reason that guy got beat, so he could have said, you're right. He could. So suppose he's there and that happened again. He said, no, I'm not white, I'm Catholic. The identity theft had already taken place. However, if that had been described from the beginning as a Catholic protest, maybe a Catholic protest against Jewish hatred of Louis IX, something like that, those black guys never would have showed up in the first place. That's what I'm saying. That's how it works.
Okay, I get it. What's the situation with Donald Trump? Do you think he'll be running in 2024?
Yeah, Mitt Romney said he was. Mitt Romney doesn't like Donald Trump, but he said he'll probably get the nomination in 2024.
What about the Republican Party? Is he respected enough?
Well, let's give a good example of this. What about the Republican Party? What about Mitch McConnell?
Yeah,
powerful figure in the Republican Party. Have you ever looked into his wife? Do you know where his wife comes from?
No.
She's Chinese.
Mm.
And he is the second richest man in Congress, in the Congress. The first richest person is Dianne Feinstein. What do they have? What do they have in common? The two richest people in Congress. They have a connection with China. Dianne Feinstein opened up Silicon Valley to the Chinese and was rewarded for that. Mitch McConnell has a father-in-law who's one of the biggest Chinese shipping magnates. Okay? So what are we talking about here? These people all are faced with a choice. Do I want to follow a candidate who can get the people to vote for him, which Donald Trump has shown that he can do? Or do I want to remain safe in my preserve as an oligarch and simply administer the empire as one of the mandarins? And I'm choosing that word advisedly because what we're talking about is Chinese influence here, a huge influence in recent American history, still there. In many ways, China is the model of oligarchic control. We are borrowing things from the Chinese, like face recognition software. We are applying them, like what you saw at the Capitol in January was analogous to Tiananmen Square. It's very similar, and you've got this oligarchic. So the question for the Republican Party is: are they going to decide we'll choose to lose the presidency if we can retain our status as oligarchs? That's what happened. Everybody turned on Donald Trump during this year. Not one Republican was willing to stand up according to principle, according to the rule of law, or to represent the American people. Now, wait a minute. Now, that's not true. Talking about he was acquitted. There was a group of Republicans that did stand beside him. But what I'm trying to say here is that this will be the conflict among this group of people. Does Mitt Romney represent the oligarchs, or does he represent the people of Utah? That's the question everyone in the United States has to ask. When you have a candidate that's running for office, you have to say, do you represent the oligarchs, or do you represent the people of Indiana? Now, I did this with Rick Santorum, who was senator. He showed up at Notre Dame. He's in the office. He's giving a speech. He's kind of thumping his chest, telling everybody he has 8 children. Kind of macho guy, you know. I'm glad you have 8 children, Rick. But my question is, are you part of the Israel lobby? Well, that was, wait a minute. Who brought that up? So the question is, Rick, do you represent the people of of Pennsylvania, the state of Pennsylvania, or do you represent the Israel lobby? Well, he was like a deer in the headlights. When I asked him that question, he said, well, when they show up, I pay attention to what they say. Well, Rick, no, you do more than pay attention, because when he was speaking, at the time he was speaking, he was a scholar, in quotes, if there ever needed quotes, a scholar at the American Enterprise Institute. Well, look up the American Enterprise Institute and see who pays their bills. It's the Carlyle Group. Vulture capitalist in support of Israel. It's on their webpage. All you have to do is look it up. So Rick is working directly now for the oligarchs, for the Israel lobby, whereas before, when he was a senator of Pennsylvania, he was working indirectly for the oligarchs. Well, we don't want that anymore. The system is you represent the people who vote for you, not the people who pay your bills. And that's the conflict right now.
What are the constitutive parts of this pro-Israel lobby power? Is it only the money, or is it ideology? Is it religion?
Well, first of all, there is money. Yes, there's lots of money there. And secondly, if you're talking about southern Indiana, by which I mean like 10 miles south of South Bend, you have this ideology, Christian Zionism, with a completely bogus, heretical reading of the gospel of the New and Old Testament, a Judaizing theology that was promoted by the New York Jews, Louis Untermeyer, big connection, who got Oxford University Press, I believe, to publish the Schofield Bible. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about a combination of those two factors. They're not mutually exclusive. The Israel lobby will create figures like the Reverend Jerry Falwell. What's the guy? Shamir. Anyway, what are the Menachem Begin. Menachem Begin gave Jerry Falwell an airplane. Well, that was mighty white of you if you're white. But what's the purpose? Well, you're supposed to fly around and promote Israel. That's what he did. So you have a combination of this weird heretical Christian Zionism that comes from the Schofield Bible, plus lots of money. You put those two things together and you got a powerful force.
And now they're they're just gonna bend over before the Chinese people too.
Well, that's good article in the tablet. I would give you the author's name, but I forgot it at this point. But it just appeared about the role that China is playing in this thing. So I think what you see here is the oligarch. You have an oligarchic country with China. They don't have any tradition of the sort that we have in America of popular sovereignty, anything like never existed over there. It was the Communist Party after they had their revolution. And now it was Milton Friedman, that great Jewish economist, who went over there and told the Communist Party leaders how they could basically privatize the wealth of the nation and give it to their children. And these are the people who are the billionaires now in China. So there was the oligarchic class here kind of admired that. And what you have here is a kind of a merging of the two oligarchic classes, the Chinese oligarchs and the American oligarchs, in a consensus that regards the people as the enemy. The enemy. That's the situation we have right now. These are people. Look, let's face it. Yeah. The Biden administration now regards half of the people of the United States as the enemy. That's why they're using terms like white supremacist. This is a demonization because it allows you to treat them unfairly. That's what's going on here now. And you can see this kind of convergence between Chinese and American oligarchs as a way of uniting to rule the world.
But why did they wait so long? For example, half of America is still a big mass of people. Such a big mass of people is still dangerous towards the government or towards the oligarchs, or are they not?
What you're seeing here is the emergence of a new consciousness. Now, by new, I mean basically what was the previous consciousness here? If you take someone, like a pretty girl like Melania from Slovenia, you emigrate to the United States. And what do you want to become? You want to become an American. You have a clear idea of what an American is, and you want to become one. Well, that was the immigrant story. This is my Irish ancestors and worked as servants for the rich people when they come over here at the beginning of the 20th century. And these were rich people they were Protestants for the most part. The WASP ruling class in Philadelphia lived on the main line, places like Chestnut Hill. They had beautiful houses. They had beautiful manners. It was like the high point. If you want to read literature, read The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald, where F. Scott Fitzgerald is the Catholic boy from Minneapolis who really wants to fit in with this crowd of people. And in 1920, you do that by going to Princeton and you're happy. Well, what they've done is destroy that. You have disenfranchised these people. You've demonized these people. And now the people have checked out. Okay, so they're not identifying as Americans. And then you add to the fact that you've got these new people coming in. Let's say the Mexicans and the people from Honduras who just showed up. They don't know what that means because that WASP ruling class doesn't exist anymore. So you got a large group of people that have no commitment to America and in many ways are hostile to the idea of America because of the way it's treated them. Do you think you're going to survive And every time you get cracked down, you are confirming these people in their suspicion that there's no America. You don't believe in America. Hillary Clinton doesn't believe in America. She believes in identity politics. She believes that certain favored groups should have privilege. Jews, homosexuals, black people, whatever she designates as the special protected group, they should have privileges, and the rest of the people should be demonized. So she called the people who voted for Donald Trump a basket of deplorables. You're destroying the very consciousness that you should be promoting, because you're losing the allegiance of the majority of the American people. So why? So you promote, appoint this transgendered fat Jew by the name of Richard Levine. Now he's calling himself Rachel Levine. This is the symbol of the Biden administration. It's the symbol of what we're talking about here. That this man has been appointed to teach us about health, when he's basically shot himself up with all kinds of hormones, God knows what, besides the surgical mutilation he's undergone, and put himself in a situation where he's much more likely to commit suicide than he was if he hadn't done that, because there's a high suicide rate among transgender people who wake up one day and regret what they've done and can't get back. Now, what do you think you're doing? Do you think we're looking at this guy and think, oh, that's really a woman? No, we're not thinking that. We're thinking you are so drunk with your ideology that you think we don't notice. And if we say something, you ban us from Twitter. You'll get banned from Twitter if you say that this guy thinks he's a woman, pretending to be a woman. You'll get banned. Well, every time you do that, you lost the argument, fellas. You're losing the argument. And you're so drunk with your power, and you're so drunk with grasping at political power in the immediate sense, you don't understand the long-term effects of what's going on here.
Have you been watching what's been going on lately in the so-called cancel culture? Is this even something that matters, or is this just a false or a fake cluster of unimportant discourses, or is there anything to fight for in this discourse over cancel culture, woke
if you're
culture?
talking about discourse and saying that ideas that are worthy of some type of respect or discussion, no, it's preposterous. Everything they talk about is preposterous. If you're talking about the power that they are exerting, well, that's real. And the point is, they know that they can't persuade anybody. You can't persuade me that Rachel Levine is a woman. You can't do it. It's not going to work. No one's going to believe that. Okay, so now you have to bring out a power. Now you have to use raw power and ban people who won't go along with that illusion. That is not going to work over the long haul. So this is the motto of the day. Okay, this is our new motto. Are you ready? Okay. Motu. It's in Latin, so you know it's important. Motu infinem velocior. Motu infinem velocior. Things get fast, things accelerate toward the end. So I'm saying we're heading toward the end here. This is not a long haul strategy. This is not something you can sustain over the long haul. If you are kind of mandating that we say that Richard Levine is a woman, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. And that's the strategy you've embarked upon him. And so what you're saying is it's going to be short term, whether you like it or not. That's what I'm saying right now.
There's a question from Boris Gaspar. EMJ, how are you going to counteract the demonization of humans? humans are the enemies to the global environment because they produce CO2. At which point do you stop dancing and just resist?
Well, you have to get specific now, and like one specific instance would be mandatory vaccination. You've got to resist because they are playing with your health. You cannot allow anyone to play with your health. This is an untested vaccine. No one should take this vaccine. No one. Now, this maybe get you canceled off of YouTube if I'm saying something like this, but that's someplace where we all have to draw the line. We cannot do this. You can allow these people to inject untested, invasive, potentially dangerous substances into your body because you are your body, and that's the only body you're ever going to have. And your health is certainly the most important thing in your life. If we expand it again to a Latin word, salus, means health and salvation. So this is how serious this is. So if you want where we have to resist, that's where.
How long do you think Joe Biden will last as a president? Will he be the president till 24, or do you think Kamala Harris will take over even before?
She will be de facto. She will. First of all, the people who are running the country are neither the president nor the vice president. Okay, you have to make that clear. There was a great moment in the campaign when they finally let Joe Biden out of the basement, and he's walking past soldiers, and he says to the soldiers, "Salute soldiers." Why did he say that? Because someone said that into his earpiece, and he was supposed to go like that, but he just repeated what came out of his earpiece. That's some indication of Joe Biden. Okay. So we will not. It will not be overt. But Biden's already said that when it comes to meeting other heads of state, it's Kamala who's going to meet the heads of state and not Joe Biden. So they're going to do the equivalent of putting him back in the basement, except that this time the basement will be known as the Oval Office.
Do you think there will be a big shot at conservative media, similar to what happened to, for example, your YouTube channel?
Yes,
and so forth.
Yes, we'll continue. They'll go after Fox News now. They're already trying to do this. We need to. One of the few places that has woken up to this fact and done something is Poland, where they have passed a law saying that tech giants have no right to deplatform you. The standard is going to be the laws of the country of Poland. That has to be implemented universally throughout the world. Because if the government doesn't do that, then basically Google and YouTube are the government, because they are making the laws. They are making the laws that allow you to get access to the internet as a marketplace and so on and so forth. They are the government if you allow them to make the laws. Government has to reassert its authority here. Beginning with state government, we've had the situation. There's already a big conflict now between Biden and the state of Florida. There was a phone conversation between Governor Sanchez about Biden shutting down air traffic to Florida to prevent people from leaving New York and moving to Florida. And Sanchez, needless to say, is upset about this prospect. Biden's using the COVID virus as a pretext for basically punishing parts of the country that did not vote for him. So in the middle of the conversation, Biden says, Sanchez is saying, well, Joe, you can't do this. In the middle of the conversation, Biden says, it's Mr. President. Refer to me as Mr. President. And at that point, Governor Sanchez says, go fuck yourself, Joe, and hangs up the phone. That is the situation right now. You've got a conflict between the states and the federal government, and there's going to be pushback. There's going to be pushback, and now you're going to see the rise, the importance of regional government, which has been in eclipse ever since World War II.
Will we have something similar in Europe too? You think this big fight between governments, national governments, and big tech imposing
Absolutely.
their
I've
own
already
rules.
I've already written an article about how Google conquered Ireland. Google conquered Ireland. They are the de facto ruler of Ireland right now. We have this across the board. You have a situation. I mean, you know. I'm not telling you anything. You're over there. You know what it's like. You've got situation in England and France where the government is basically using COVID to break the resistance of people who did not like the oligarchs. COVID has been the excuse to break the yellow vest demonstrations in France. This has spread to India now. There is a huge battle in India now over oligarchic control of agriculture. And Narendra Modi is siding with the oligarchs. And you've got these farmers out there who are not going to go along with it. No, not going to go along with it. This is it's a worldwide phenomenon. Worldwide phenomenon. And you've got this mystical conversion of a kind of American Chinese understanding of oligarchy that is trying to be imposed on the world. Trump objected to, Trump in many ways declared war on China. Okay, that's what he did. He wanted to bring jobs back. Now that Biden and the Democrats are back, that whole corrupt group of media people, especially academia, have been taking Chinese money under the table, like places like Harvard University, which is probably the source of the coronavirus. All of those people are back in power now. So it's going to be China, a kind of Chinese American oligarchic counterattack on the people.
That sounds like a horror movie to me. But really, what could happen if in 2024 Donald Trump comes back? He's still healthy. He still has his mojo, sort of say. Could he win again?
The first thing that has to happen is we have to secure the election process, because we have a corrupt election process. It was stolen. It was manipulated. COVID allowed all sorts of absentee ballots, to be brought in the middle of the night. Wait a minute. Biden just got 100,000 votes at 3:00 in the morning. Where did that come from? Well, we're not even allowed to talk about it. That has to be straightened out. Now, Florida did do that. If you remember back to 2000, Florida was the center of a contested election between Bush and Gore. And we had things like hanging chads on the ballots and all these other type of stuff. Florida went in and they straightened that out. Okay. And they have done well. And there was no hanky-panky in Florida. Every state, Michigan's going to have to do it. Arizona is going to have to do it. All of those contested states, they're going to, the Republicans, the people are going to have to go in and say, we don't want any more stolen elections. We're going to have to secure these elections, because if we don't have elections, that's the end of America.
Yeah. How have been powerful Catholics been doing in America right now?
Wait a minute. That's an oxymoron. A powerful Catholic is an oxymoron, unless you're talking about Joe Biden. And I'd have to say, well, he's not a Catholic. He's powerful because he's not a Catholic.
What about some clergy that's been pro?
It's an oxymoron. Oxymoron. There's no such thing as a powerful Catholic.
Will there have to be something like a powerful Catholic in the future?
I think so. Look, what did come together in St. Louis was Catholic identity. Those guys did rally around it. I helped articulate the position, saying this is identity theft. But what we're going to have is this resurgence of Catholic solidarity. Now, we are in a terrible situation. And the main problem is this crazy idea known as Catholic-Jewish dialogue, a disaster for the Catholic Church. Okay, even the Vatican had to admit it was a disaster. It's been over 50 years now, and the church is going to have to wake up, come back to the traditional position on the Jews. And you're going to have to come to it's a choice you have to make. You can have unity as a Catholic in the church, or you can have good relations with the Jews. But you cannot have both. Cannot have both. Still there? Hello?
Anton Petrovic has an interesting question in this moment.
If you're asking me, if you're asking me, is it a good thing to learn the ethnic language of your forebears? The answer
I'll
is
just
yes.
read it. Is it worth the effort for Americans to reclaim ethnic identity by learning their mother's language lost one generation ago at the age of 26? Is it something to let go of and accept Catholic identity?
First of all, there is no conflict between ethnic identity and Catholic identity. No conflict whatsoever. They are two complementary issues. If you want to talk about, it's like form and content. Okay. The content of the church is the religious doctrine, which is universal for everyone. The particular form is the ethnic group that adopts that type of that religion. Did any European country ever suffer any type of identity loss by becoming Catholic? I mean, do you think that look, as I said about my German ancestors, if the Benedictines hadn't been converted them to Catholicism, they'd still be chasing pigs through the forests of Germany. This is the principle here is grace perfects nature. It doesn't destroy it. Gratia non tollit naturam, sed perficit. I am a better American. I'm a better Catholic because by God's grace, I spent 3 years in Germany and learned to speak fluent German and understood my roots in a way that was much better. My wife is a Catholic because of that. My first wife was an Episcopalian. I always get in trouble when I say that, but she converted to Catholicism because of the experience of German Catholicism at that period of time. So the answer is to that 26-year-old, yes, do it. If you can learn the language, it will deepen your ethnic identity. And that's the most important thing that you have here in terms of the sociological theories.
Dr. Jones, what's your final thought on what to do right now in America, and what's your final thought on how to react to what's happening in America and in China and so forth as an European Catholic, as a Slovene Catholic and so forth?
Yes.
How should we think about this situation?
Yes. First, resist identity theft. Okay. Do not allow yourself to be persuaded to abandon the Catholic faith for some ridiculous white identity that has no meaning whatsoever in Slovenia or Croatia or Serbia or any of those countries. It has no meaning whatsoever. It's not part of your history. It's part of our history, and it's not my identity, even if it is part of our history. Second is, God is in charge of human history. Nothing has changed in that regard. And so it's up to us to understand that. Buy my book, Logos Rising. If you don't believe me, buy Logos Rising and read that, and you'll understand what I'm talking about. And finally, for the last moment, the motto of the day, motu infinem velocior. At the end, things are moving fast. So the faster they move, the more you know it's not something that's going to last over the long haul. This is not a long haul strategy. This is short. Something's got to give here. You can't get this far from reality and expect to maintain that position.
Now, I'm pretty sure it's going to be possible to travel around the world quite soon, and probably this debate between you and Jared Taylor and then also Tom Sunic will happen soon in Zagreb. I hope so. But on the other hand, I also hope you said about this situation with UN saying that white supremacy is the biggest problem of the world. I hope that we can soon have a big show, a big stream, a round table with you, Dr. Jones, with a couple of other scholars that will be prepared to talk about it, to debate about it. Even Jared will not be there because you have some um, agreements with Scanza Forum. And I would like to organize it for our national press agency. If you'd be for it, would you be for it for such
Sure, I'd be happy
a
to.
round table? And
I'd be happy to.
maybe if you can propose some intellectuals, some academics that would be good for such a debate, I'll also be happy to contact them afterwards. Yeah, I hope we can do it soon. So
Yeah. Yeah, well, let me think about it, but I think it's a good idea.
I think it's I do think it's a good idea, and perhaps we should do it really soon. For example, in a week or 10 days, mostly. So it would be good for us to talk to each other next days when you if you get an idea of whom we can invite. Please just tell me. Please just write to me, and I'll think about the possible guests also.
Okay.
So, Dr. Jones, thanks for being here today. Will be longer when the round table comes. It's getting it's night here in Slovenia. I didn't get any sleep for 4 days now, or 2 hours, for example, because we've been creating this all media of ours, national press agency. Please, if you know anybody, if he's interesting, Dr. Jones also wrote a column for us. It's in English. You can read it on our national press agency. Please support us. It's 99 cents per month. It's $5.99 per half a year, and it's $11.99 per whole year. And thanks for listening. You guys can also propose people that could debate Dr. Jones about the topic of whiteness and race and so forth. Yeah, from me, this has been all. Dr. Jones, once again, thank you for being here. Thank you for being so informative, and good day and
Thank
good
you.
night.
Thank you.
Bye.